Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of American Airlines, ticker symbol AAL. But before I get into American, I just wanted to point out that for this video, it's going to be a little different than the other ones. I'm going to be going over all of these stocks listed on the left. Just because I'm on vacation and I don't have time to make individual videos for all of these, but they stood out to me as being interesting, so I wanted to do follow-ups on them. And so I will do them in the order listed, in alphabetical order based on ticker symbol. So you should be able to skip to the stock that you're interested in. So hopefully this is cool. Let me know if you like the style of video, and I'll try to do more like this, covering lots of stocks rather than individuals. But so basically with American, I had pointed out this gap to the upside that would have been filled on the day that it hit 1408, which was actually on December 7th. And it's kind of hung out in that area. It looks like it might have formed a double top. Really what we want to see is then a close above $14.18 for that to continue higher. But given that there's this gap down here that needs to be filled at $11.89, other ones to the downside, including, let's see, gap going down to, I believe, sub $11. Let's see, this gap right here is at $11.22. So not sub 11, but quite a drop from where we're currently at. So, I think that it's good to keep an eye on, do we get a close above 1408? Definitely, if we get a close above 1418, it could continue higher. But at some point, I do see it coming down to 1122. And so for me personally, that's what I'm waiting for. I did not expect, this big green candle that represented a rise of 4.75% on the day of December 1st. I did not expect that. But it happened, and now this gap has been filled, and so I don't really see any major price targets to the upside, just all of these gaps to the downside. Those are my thoughts on AAL. Now moving on down the list to AMC, ticker symbol AMC. I just made a video on this, so I'm not going to go over this here, but check that video out if you'd like to see it. And then BIOR, Biora Therapeutics, has been holding above this Fibonacci retracement based on the pre-market low on November 30th to the after hours high. There was kind of a squeeze going up and then price came down. So based on the 786 retracement, that is at a price of $1.36.1. Price has been closing above that the past couple days. We'll see where it closes at the end of today, December 13th. But I do see this as being bullish consolidation, prices going down, so that suggests that it could break to the upside. So I do think that is a really good sign. And actually, I will draw, just a little channel here so we can see that, it is downtrending there. And I do think that will break to the upside, going to 152, if not higher. So I think this is, great consolidation, what we're seeing after the 22.22% run on December 11th. So I think that's really exciting. If you're holding BIOR, like I am, super excited about that. Moving on, natural gas. I'm not going to get into the commodity or UNG in this video, but I do want to point out that, we did hit a low, a new all-time low for BOIL, ticker symbol BOIL, which is 2x leveraged natural gas. The low was $23.83 on December 11th. I do think that the low was actually during after hours, I believe was lower than that. Let's actually take a look here. $23.45. But it does look like, green candle on the 11th, despite, having a big drop there. It does look like we might be consolidating here. So I do think we could be right around the bottom, ranging around $24 to $25. And something that was pointed out by Gareth Soloway, looking at the weekly time frame, is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candle weeks. And so, whether if this week ends up red as well, that would be 6 candles. It tends to be, I believe, likely that the 7th one would be green, suggesting a flip to the upside. So I do think there is some hope there, but I do think it could be another couple weeks of sideways action around here before continuing up. However, that could also be bearish consolidation, so something to consider. But I do think that this has gone way lower than I was expecting. RSI currently at well below 30 at 21.39. So I do think that there is some upside in the coming weeks or following the coming weeks. So I do think there's a lot of hope there. Moving on to ChargePoint, ticker symbol CHPT. We've been having closes above $2.22, which I had highlighted in a previous video based on the high of December 4th. And it does look like, let's see here, I'll draw up another channel here. Does look like there is some bullish consolidation taking place. I do think that will break to the upside. We have this gap to $3.03. So, I am on the side thinking that, this is going to continue higher. I do think it's going to go to $3 very soon, just like in that last video that I had made. So, I basically, when this, I was accumulating up here, and when this dropped, I thought to myself, I think that this is an overreaction, this big gap down here. And so I accumulated as many shares as I could in this region. And, I do think that this will be breaking to the upside and hitting $3 a share probably in the next 2 weeks. But, I could be wrong on that time frame, but I feel really good about ChargePoint right now. So, I hope you guys have some confidence too, especially with this nice gap to the upside. Looking at Fisker, so I believe I had made a video on December 8th when, let's see if I can, I'm on my laptop because I'm traveling, so hard to kind of zoom in on this stuff here. But I made a video on the 8th when we had closed above all of these levels, above this downtrend. But then the following day, which was a Monday on the 11th, came back down, closed below all of those levels, and we've had multiple days closing below those. Actually hit a new all-time low today of $1.35. So, doesn't look that good in that sense. But, at some point, this might actually, you could be thinking about this as forming perhaps a double bottom if today does close, let's see, above $1.41, which was the close on December 6th. And I do think that it is good to keep the weekly time, think about the weekly time frame and where this closes. Sorry, again, being clunky with the laptop. But basically, if Thursday and Friday this week we do see some green days, we could be closing above this blue downtrend, if not these other levels. So I do think there is some hope with Fisker, but I do think it could just continue to plow its way down. So one to be cautious with. But while it's down here, it might actually be a good discount. I don't know. Personally, I am not partaking in Fisker. Let's see, GameStop, I had made a video on, this looking super bullish. I believe following this big, more than 10% move on, was that Thursday, December 7th. But then that has kind of failed to continue. But I do, I'm going to draw it again, do think that this is bullish consolidation here. I do expect a break to the upside, especially, if we get a close above $16 today. That is a psychological level. And then I have this level drawn at $16.25, which was the closing price on November 29th. So, I do think that there's a lot of great stuff going on with GameStop, a lot of upside. I do think we will be hitting 18 sooner rather than later. But, I, of course, I'm a little bit biased with that. And speaking of bias, I had made some videos on Robinhood. I was expecting it to, and actually made a video on it being rejected from this level of actually this red line of what had been long-term support. I expected it to be resistance, following this breakdown after earnings. But, it, faked me out. I should have waited for confirmation. That's something I need to be getting better at. We had one close below. We needed to see a continuation and or two closes below Actually, I guess we did have 2 closes below here, but what we wanted to see is really just a continuation of that. But it, broke to the upside, has been consolidating up here, having filled multiple gaps. I believe it still has a gap to fill up at 1218. Let's see if I can scroll over to see that. I think that'd take too much time, so I'm not going to do that. Again, sorry, being on vacation with the laptop. But on the day, I was thinking it looked like this is bearish, but it's just psyching people out, getting a little bit of a like relaxation on that price before I imagine continuing higher. Really, I was thinking this would pull back to 8, not being able to hold above this red line. Not thinking about Robinhood as a crypto play, but really that is what it is. And with Bitcoin, crypto kind of pulling back the past couple of days, that's why we saw this red candle yesterday. But I do think that is just kind of a relaxation of the RSI, getting a little bit more strength in there before continuation higher. I don't think Bitcoin has hit the high, which will be around 48K. And with that, I think Robinhood, as well as the miners, will go higher. But I do think they will be topping soon. And I do have to say, with the bias that I've had with Robinhood, I did buy some puts that are going to expire worthless. But I'm out $30, so not a big deal. But just getting too early with those. I do think that when Bitcoin hits 48K, I do think that might be a top for not only the miners, but also Robinhood. And I do expect a pullback to the red line, but then serving as support, which has been long-term support. So I do think it will return to above $9 at some point, maybe dip down, but closing above the red line. I think that will continue to serve as support. All right, and then so Hycroft is the next one. This has failed to get above 219, and I don't think it's going to be going higher. I do see this as coming down to what my price target is $1.50, breaking below the low that was around the time of the reverse split that was on November 15th, a low of $1.63. I think at least that level will be hit. I do think this will be returning to that low, and I think that being able to scoop up shares at $1.50 seems feasible. So that's at least what I'm expecting. However, as I've drawn before, this could just be, bullish consolidation before break to the upside. So I might be left out of this play, but, I'm fine. With Hycroft, I have exercised patience, and, that has served me well. So I'm going to continue to do that, wait for $1.50, and I will be cheering you all on. If it never hits that level and it goes to the moon, I'll be so stoked for you guys and the company. But, I'm exercising patience. And then finally, Nikola does look like, I feel like I called this pretty well. I did not partake in it, just it's a little risky for me. But we did get, basically 3 candles closing right around this level at about 70.5 cents. And looking back at a prior move up, we had about 3 candles closing around this level that was at 85.5 cents before a big move up, which was 32% move on that day, which was September 14th. And so, looking at the current prices, right now on the day, we're seeing upward moves of over 8%. We'll see where it closes. For me, again, I did not pick up shares yesterday, which, based on my thesis, I think would have been the move with 3 candles. Basically, 1 candle going below that orange level, closing above, which is good, but then the next day closing below, that's bad. But then seeing a third day with a close above, or a third day happening to close above, that would have suggested to me, hey, that's a good time to pick up shares if it does cross below that level. It did today on December 13th. And so we'll see. Maybe it gets rejected soon. Maybe it pulls back because we are at the, let's see, the opening price on, let's see, the drop on it, December 7th, which was 78.5 5-6 cents, right around there. So maybe there's a pullback at this level before continuing higher to 85.5 cents, the yellow line. And, if there is a pullback, it might, actually continue lower. So again, this is a very, very risky play. And while I do have it listed, I did just make a video on Palantir, so I'm not going to elaborate on it here. But, I just wanted to go over all of those. Hopefully this was helpful for you. And again, if you do like this style of video, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, if you liked my thoughts, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe for more content like this. And I will be going live at, 3 p.m. Eastern today to do Power Hour live stream. So join me for that if you want, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.